Welcome to your money mindset activity. And I want to empower you to either download the PDF and actually print it out so you can write on it and or grab a journal and write things down as they come up for you in this activity. And this is coming from a lens of not only my own education and experiences with money and working with over 7 industries, but it's also coming, you guys, from a space of transforming my own money that used to be in chaos. And whatever comes up for you is exactly perfect because we have so much programming, you guys, centered around money and wealth from every direction. It comes from a space of, what environment we grew up in, what, our parents said about money, what culture says about money and status and recognition, what different countries say about money, then what the 5 people that you're closest to around say about money and do about money, and what kind of wealth situations they have and or what they're moving towards. So one thing I want to encourage you is to really really think about is, are you completely absolutely thrilled with your money situation? Are you completely and absolutely thrilled with your circumstances and your life? And or are you completely frustrated and you're ready for a new mindset and you're ready to do something different, whether it's, in your personal life, in your business life, both? Do you have the time freedom that you want? And keep this in mind, you guys. I want to empower you to realize that the mindset that you've had has gotten you to where you are today. And that's perfect. However, a completely new you and a completely new mindset is going to be required to get you to where you want to go, to get your life to where you want it to go, and how you want to create it, and your business, and the kind of people that you want to work with. I'm going to use, some examples. Do you think the Oprah or the Beyonce or the Walt Disney, when he was still alive, or the Steve Jobs when he was still alive, do you think they were anywhere near the person they were at, a million, 100 million, a billion plus versus when they started? Absolutely not. It required them, just like it's required me to grow into a different person, into a different mindset. So it's going to require you to change that money mindset. So without action, there are no results, and get ready for your results. So one of my programs is called Billions in Our Brains, and that's going to be given to you as a bonus at the end of this 5-week course. And disclaimer, I am not a billionaire yet. I haven't produced that much value or impacted enough people yet. We will. I will. Examples within this and within the bonuses and what I'm teaching you have generated millions to hundreds of millions of dollars. So one case study that I had alone, an actual client and company that I served, over $10 million in 1 year. So that's an example. And, as of this recording, I've been planting the seeds, I've been setting up the stage and everything to reach our first million, then grow from there into several million, then grow from there into beyond giving into billions to help end homelessness, help end cancer, help military vets, and help battered women. So a couple of requirements, as I mentioned, either download the PDF guide to write on it and or grab a journal. My recommendation is, if you are super serious about changing your money mindset, you are super serious about changing your money, then I recommend you write everything down. Because when we write things down, they reach our brain in a different level and we focus on them in a different level. There's neuroscience and all kinds of studies around that. So I write things down and then I reinforce them with technology, both on my calendar and on a Focus Matrix app. And I write and journal, you guys, every single day. That's a whole nother topic that I also cover in different highlights and in the 3-month mastermind after this course. And, and again, keeping in mind, beyond the things that I mentioned, also depending on the influences you had, say, within belief systems, within your spirituality, within the leaders there, that's also impacting your money, you guys. And what really amazed me, so I'm also a certified public accountant. I've also dealt with tons of fraud cases. I'm also a certified fraud examiner and an internal auditor. What amazed me is that a lot of teachers around money focus around saving, focus around spending, focus on all those things, which is great. Those are all parts of what you're going to be exposed to in my 6-pack of wealth. However, what amazed me is that none of them really talked about the creation of wealth. Then on the flip side of that, you have some teachers that solely focus on the creation of wealth, but don't talk about the management, the investment, the saving, the giving, and the spending. And so I realized I was being put uniquely in a position to talk about all those things. So I want you to think about that as you dive into this money mindset, because this is setting the stage for the 6-pack of wealth. And you guys, there is layers upon layers upon layers. So all this is birthed out of my entire lifetime, as well as the transformation I've had in my mind and in every area of my life, including wealth and money, over the last 7 years, and that I continue to. So maybe it's the determination, maybe it's the drive. It's your divine destiny. Get ready for results. So we're going to be talking about money, 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 money. If you haven't heard that song. Description, we're going to be getting into break the barriers in your brain, because when it comes to different thought patterns and beliefs, there's science, there's spiritual aspects and mental aspects, and then there's actual science behind that, you guys, that our neural pathways, when we follow down a belief pathway, they actually get hardened. And when you are rewriting and shifting, there is actual resistance that is happening because you're literally solidifying a brand new pathway in your brain. So do not be surprised that it takes time and practice and effort to change. Something that I've been doing recently a lot of lately, besides my writing down my I am statements, my affirmations, is I actually constantly listen to I am affirmations as well. In addition to prayer and meditation, I listen to affirmations on patience, on waking up early, on making your first million, because I've done that all for other people, but I haven't done that yet for myself. I got up to the point that I was making 6 figures while generating others up to 10 million in a year. And then again, consistently, you guys, year over year with multiple industries. So clearly I was capable. I was doing it for others, but I didn't believe I was worthy. So working a lot on worthiness, because if you're not consistent across both aspects, well, clearly there's a disconnect in the mindset. So that was a visible, tangible thing that showed up in my life. And love my parents to death. And one of the things that they did also was the same thing, is serve and serve and serve. But through their own trajectories and their own family histories, they never learned how to be entrepreneurs or saw that modeled. So there's a clear shift in a lot of things that I've grown through and shifted, but I'm clear on my, prior conditioning, the prior habits that I practiced for years. So I'm clear that there's effort required to shift. So we're going to get into the money matrix. Then we're going to get into the mindset and the matrix. So if you share different things on what you're doing and you're a social media sharer or you're learning to be, then definitely tag Fit Life Creation, tag me, hashtag Fit Life Creation, hashtag billions in our brains. And so we're going to be focused on breaking the barriers in your brain. We will annihilate money in the matrix to start in the money maker. And what is the story about money in your mind? Let's recreate it. So I included a clip. It's all about the Benjamins that I recommend that one of two things. If you're someone that likes music in the background or likes music in general and likes noise, then play it and or maybe play it after. However, if you're someone that likes silence and you like to focus, then just pause this video, look at, the questions and journal it out. And me, it depends on what time frame I've been in my life and trajectory. I've kind of been both in different scenarios or different time frames. And right now I'm really big on a lot of silence and a lot of just tuning in and a lot of hearing myself and hearing my own thoughts and hearing my own intuition and guidance. But there's been times where I've listened to a lot of mentors, a lot of leaders, a lot of different things. So it ebbs and flows because it just depends on where you are. Like if you're crystal clear about your vision and you're crystal clear about the path you're headed, well, then you're going to have more quiet time and alone time with like key time frames for when you listen to mentors. So I'm still being mentored. For example, we have Mentor Mondays with our Herbalife calls. So I listen to Garen Jones and several different leaders. I listen to my IAMs. I meditate. I pray. I listen to my own inner guidance. I also listen sometimes to Brendon Burchard, but it's a lot less than what it was, say, 5 years ago when I was attending a lot of events. So anyway, it ebbs and flows depending on where you are, and that's perfect. So think about this. And again, journal this out. Who influenced you about money? Think about when you were a child and the first, when you were born until the first 7 years of your life. What was the money situation around you? What was your family situation? What was their conversation about with money then? And maybe if you don't know, I would ask those questions. Because you guys, the first 7 years of our life are so important. So one of my minors in undergrad was psychology. And one of the classes I took was childhood psychology. And I'm fascinated with the human brain, and I still am. And the first 7 years of our life, not that you can't retain this or be in this state the rest of your life as far as, being open, being, constantly learning, constantly like exercising your brain to learn more and to just absorb the world around you. Like the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. But especially the first 7 years of our lives, we're like sponges. So any positive vibrations, positive conversations highly impact. Negative highly impact. So imagine what those conversations were about money. And again, if you can ask. You guys, there's studies with water, and we're made up of over 70-80% water. So this applies to us. There's studies with water that when you speak about love and do things with high vibrations, what it does to the cellular structure of water. And then the opposite of how it literally impacts water not in a great state when it's negative. So imagine what those vibes do to us. Who still influences you about money? What were their highest amounts of income? So in my own money story, I realized 7 years ago that I subconsciously would not allow myself to go over the income level of my dad. So my mom made less than my dad. My dad got up to six figures, but there was a lot of, again, just culturally and different things. There was a lot of conversations and not freedom-based conversations around money and around status and around recognition. So part of me would fight back and resist that, but part of me, quote unquote, didn't want to leave anyone behind. And I realized in my transformation over the last 7 years that to really lead people and to inspire people, you have to show them, or you get to show them a different way and, a completely different approach. And I realized actually by not going towards my full potential, that actually I was doing a disservice not only to my own potential, but to people that I could fully help by showing them an example. So what are your highest levels of income? So that'll show you between what your mom made and or your dad made and what your highest levels of income have been. What are your trends for income over the last 5 years? That'll also show you what's happening for you subconsciously. So you may be, for example, let's talk about a couple different scenarios. So you may be doing. You may be a hustler. That was me 7 years ago. I would hustle to the point that I was 55 pounds heavier. I was not happy because I was not living out everything that I loved, all my gifts, talents, and abilities, all the ways I wanted to impact and inspire. I was leaving out so many pieces of myself. I would travel basically 3 to 4 times a year. Even though I love traveling, those I would quote unquote allow myself to do that. I put friends and family kind of last, and money and work were my first thing. Then, compared to now, I've learned how to be happy every single day, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationally, playfully, physically, and financially. And the trajectory of my income shift has been a lot of resistance because you guys, those are two completely different mindsets. And again, it requires a consistent pattern, a consistent approach, serving people, because the more people you serve, well, then basically that ends up coming back to you. So when I reach different points, or like as I've reached different points, it's been with being more and more in alignment as well as serving more people. So, did your biggest influencers pursue passion? Who did you go to for advice for passion? Would you want their life? Would you want the way they are? How did your biggest influencers with money earn income? How do your current influencers earn income? So, the tribe that's around you, how do they earn? Like the people that are around you the most, and or the people that you admire, how do they earn income? Because this is going to give you guys, the biggest thing is really tuning in with yourself. Like I tell people all the time, I'm simply a guide or a facilitator for you to create a life and a business you love. Because you truly have the answers inside, and whatever you're getting from this part one, money matrix history activity is perfect. So whatever it is that, awareness is shining a light for you, you're going to start to realize the patterns and the things that you've done. And then the other comparison I want to talk about besides the hustler. So the hustler might do, but they're not being, or they're not feeling, or they're not absorbing their gratitude. They're not absorbing their value. They're not absorbing their worth. So they may be doing all the work, but they don't believe that they're worthy, or they don't feel like they're worthy. That also used to be me, because then I would self-sabotage and spend all my money, and it wasn't on necessarily investing. It was partially because I didn't believe I was worthy of holding money. So, that's where sometimes spending problems come from, or wanting to find satisfaction in the external. And that's why you also see, a lot of people are baffled at some of the suicide cases and the things that have happened recently, whether it's been Anthony Bourdain, or I think it was Kate Spade, Robin Williams. You look at like these people that, had on the surface amazing lives, and or made people laugh, and how or why would they commit suicide? And it goes back to a lot of it, again, no one's there, no one's in their mind, no one knows what they were facing or dealing with, but obviously there was different things going on in their mind, whether it's depression, anxiety, lack of worthiness, not wanting to be here, all those things, you guys. And because when you reach certain levels, more and more and more of abundance, if you don't believe on the inside that you're worthy, and all this stuff on the outside starts showing up, and especially at what capacity, it can really start to mess with you. That's exactly what happened to me at different levels. But at the time, I didn't have anywhere near the wealth that I was personally receiving, like some of those people did. But that's, if you think about it, it makes sense. Now, the vice versa is you see a lot of people that believe and feel like they, should have money, and they're believing and they're feeling it, but then they're maybe not doing the work, or they're not taking the action, or they're not putting themselves out there. So again, it can be some sort of self-sabotaging behavior. But when you line up being, feeling, and doing, game over. Because you're walking into and you're being and feeling even before the money shows up. So when it shows up, it's kind of like, oh, of course it shows up, because I'm already being and feeling that. And I'm doing the work. Who's in your community? Do they earn hourly or salary? Or do they have passive income? Are they an entrepreneur? Are they leveraging income? Do they do things in real estate? Do they do things in stocks and bonds and mutual funds? Any type of entrepreneurial model. What are they creating? So some of the things I point to, all the time is, if you look at our platform with Fit Life Creation, I'm always creating because I understand that creating is a muscle, and the more you create, the more it becomes easier. And that goes to anything. So if you look through our platform, for example, and again, this came from tons of shifting and rewiring of my mind, that, our social media platforms are consistent and stable. Our blogs and my podcasts are posted every single week. Updates to YouTube, to IGTV, whatever else the case is, email blasts weekly. So there's a lot of foundation there. There's a lot of stability there. Then we've got the 7-day challenge. We've got the Creation Club monthly mastermind that has brand new content every single week that you'll be experiencing after this course. Then we've got our 5-week courses. So as of this recording, we've got in a day, we've got now Moneymaker. What's coming up is, so from a creation standpoint, you guys, and just to show you the vision of what's possible, we've got the influencer course coming up, the boss brand course coming up, to name a few, the lifestyle academy. And keep in mind, everything integrates and intertwines different tips, tools, and technology with health tools, money tools, business tools. Herbalife, the #1 global nutritional brand. Kajabi, an online portal where I teach you how to do different things. Live Plan, business plans, accelerators to get investors. So anything that I'm teaching you guys, understand that this comes from the education and experiences I've had, going back to my roots of being in a full of abundance, full of limitless potential, and seeing the limitless possibilities in every direction. I'm partnering currently with WeWork across their national and global platform and hosting workshops with things like Smoothie Bowls, things like Moneymaker, things like collaborations with influencers and more. And then we're also doing things with influencers as well as social enterprises to use the platform as a fundraising tool. And then we have retreats and events and academies coming up. So I'm not sharing that, you guys, to impress you. I'm sharing that to impress upon you from what's possible from someone that used to generate 7 to 9 figures annually for industries in education, oil and gas, consulting, retail, resorts, business plans, healthcare, to name a few, to someone that took and reframed her entire mind with our creator and lots of work and being and feeling that, to shifting to not only take all of that divinely, but also learn a lot more new skills. I didn't know how to do video. I didn't I knew how to do courses with learning platforms and learning management systems and in higher education, but I didn't know how to set up a lifestyle brand. And in fact, I haven't seen anyone that set anything up like this. I learned from Herbalife. I learned from Brendan Bouchard. I learned from Shailene Johnson. But there's things that we have and things that we've set up that they haven't. And so I had to basically be in co-creation on this. So what are those people around you creating, and what could you create? So I want you to start thinking about that. What results do they have? What patterns are you seeing? So again, feel free to pause this, play the song, reflect on this. You don't have to do this entire money matrix in one sitting. Do what feels right for you. The present. So do you often find more month than money? So what do I mean by that? It's the 20th of the month and you don't have enough money to pay the bills. So that indicates lack. That indicates belief centers and systems of lack. And I want you to also put on homework to look at your last month's statement. Look and be clear and aware of where you've spent money, and do this. If you're already an entrepreneur, do this both for your business and for your personal. Do you consistently trade time for money? So a big indicator is when I see and I look at somebody's page, whether it's a consultant, whether it's an attorney, whether it's a blogger, social media, whatever, they charge per hour. Because that just told me that your mindset is on per hour. So you believe there's only so many hours in the day, and you haven't yet been exposed to how to leverage your time to where you make money while you sleep. Literally. Because if you look on our platform, there is nothing hourly. Nothing. And keep in mind, this is coming from someone that was in consulting, and I was billed out at $400 an hour. I've worked with over 15 different consulting companies directly and indirectly, whether it was for operational projects, whether it was for Six Sigma, if you know what that is, 5S, whether it was fraud cases, whether it was working capital projects, basically looking at sales, cash, collections, all of that. And you don't see anything per hour on my platform. What you see is passive income streams, with the 7-day challenge, the monthly mastermind, the course that you're in. And the academies are partially passive, partially active. I'll talk about that in a second so you get more insight. And then the retreats are also partially passive because there's integration with the masterminds as well. So where we do have a different model is, for example, when I do things with brands, we do either in bulk, where they will purchase, say, courses in bulk for employees and or monthly mastermind. What I mean by that is for an entire month, for an entire quarter, for an entire year, and we give volume discounts. Again, that's not per hour, because if whatever corporation, say Home Depot, says, okay, we have 2,000 employees, and so just giving you a literal example of this, we have 2,000 employees, so you can see what's possible, and we want them all in the monthly mastermind. Okay, that's $194,000 for the month, and then we want that for the year, because this is going to qualify for preventative care for Obama, and our Obama preventative care as far as when it was set up, and we want it for the year. Like, we love that this is automated, and we want you and or your team, your community, to come in once every 3 months to do a workshop, hands-on, etc. Okay, cool. So say they want us to come in once a quarter for a day, and that's actually, let's just assume that's 6 hours, okay? Because again, lunch breaks, different breaks, so it's actual 6 hours of hands-on activities, okay? And that's 24, so I'm taking 6 hours in the quarter, times 4, that's 24 hours, you guys, in the year. However, let me back up. So I want you to write that down, because again, I want you to see the vision and I want you to see the possibility. So the example I gave you, to take a step back so that you're crystal clear on the way my mind works and how it's grown to, and the return on investment for shifting your mindset. So I said that example, say it's Home Depot, 2,000 employees, okay? And they want in the monthly mastermind. That's $97 a month. So for the month, we're grossing, if you're not familiar, that means before tax, before any expenses, etc. We're grossing, before any volume discounts, $194,000. And then let's say, like I said, they said they want this for the year, times 12. So 12 months in a year, right? That's $2.3 million. To be exact, $2,328,000. And let's say as the agreement, and this is very common with vendors, you guys. And again, I know this because I've dealt with tons of vendor agreements in consulting and with audit. So anything that I've learned, you can learn and or I can teach you. And that's why I'm exposing you to this. So let's say that we give them a 20% discount. So that's a $465,600 discount. So 2328 minus 465,600. Okay. So we're grossing or netting 1.8 million. And again, a lot of wellness companies will not do this because they haven't figured out their profit and their margin to where they can do this, you guys. So again, I learned this from other vendors and I learned this from other business models. And I'm simply applying it to our platform because with my background of being a certified public accountant and working in all these different industries and my exposure and divine guidance, I've been able to figure this out on our profits and our margins to where we're still basically retaining over a 70% net margin, so we're able to play with discounts, okay? So 1.8 million, and then let's say with the supplies that we give their employees, So I'm basically leading you to the net. And I haven't even gotten to what we're actually quote unquote making per hour, which is going to blow your brain. Okay. So let's say the supplies per employee. And what I mean by supplies is between the workshops and between what they get every month, because they get packs with Herbalife, they get packs with money tools, with business tools, and different things all included. And same thing, you guys, like you're going to get that too, even though you're an individual basis, but this is when we do group things. So let's say per month, it's about $30 is what it's costing us as a company. And that, give or take, I don't have exact numbers for me for whatever plan they come up with, but I'm just giving you rough estimates. So that ends up being $720,000, okay, is what I just did for the 2,000 employees for the year. So 1,862,400, that was the initial number after the discount, 1,862,400. And obviously, a lot of you are probably thinking, especially my fellow consultants and or people that are not used to being very transparent with money. I would also question that, because that indicates you guys oftentimes just different things and different belief systems and different, sometimes a lot of inability to talk about money, which also indicates other things. So think about that if that came up for you. So 1,862,400. 1,862,400 minus $720,000, okay? Now keep in mind that investment on those tools also leads us into additional opportunities, because what happens is employees or people or groups get, say, a mini pack or different packs, but they also get exposed to ordering more and or setting up a discount account, say with Herbalife, with LivePlan, with Kajabi, with Canva, with Mint, all these different tools we have. So in that scenario I just gave you, we net $1.1 million. $1,142,400. Okay? Now, on a net basis, I explained to you that we invested, say, 24 hours. Now, let's assume in addition to the 24 hours that, prep time, for the workshops, ordering supplies, whatever. Let's say it was another 24 hours, which I can promise you it's a lot less, but just for simplicity, let's just say it was 48 hours, okay? So not even a week's worth of time. So I'm dividing the net now, 1,142,400 divided by 48. That means that we made $23,000 an hour net, guys, $23,800 an hour. Do you understand the power of leverage? And that is net, you guys. That is everything is paid for. That is what is per hour, quote unquote. And what's left in the bank is 1.1 million. Okay. Now that's net. So let me blow your brain some more. Let's do the gross number. Remember, it was 2.3 million. Oops. 2,328,800. Now let's divide that by the same 48 hours. $48,516 an hour. That's not including the upsells or the additions that people decide to get with nutrition. That's not including the additions that some of the employees might decide to get with retreats, with academies, that maybe the company's not paying for, but they want. So understand to blowing up your brain and not trading time for money. Now, another way to also position that is set up retainers for brands, because then you're increasing your cash flow. So we're going to talk about more of this in the profit path where I guide you, but I want you already thinking about this, again, for yourself, for your business, and blowing up your brain. So retainers, you set up basically 3 months, 6 months, 9 month, 1 year retainers, but we also include the digital, and so that frees up time. So think about all this. Do you say no to opportunities you don't understand? I can't tell you how many times I see people judge or say no to opportunities based on someone else's opinion or based on that they don't understand them. And a classic example is Herbalife nutrition. That, so many people have, so many judgments around direct sales, around MLMs, because, this person, that, however it looks. You guys, first of all, every industry, every company, not every company, but every industry has highs and every industry has lows, okay? or which you might constitute highs and lows. I absolutely love Herbalife, and I would not have lost over 55 pounds without Herbalife. And Fit Life Creation would not exist if Herbalife hadn't found me and the community and transforming my life, and it continues to help me do that. And you would not be listening to this course. So I would put that in perspective, number one. Number two, multi-level marketing or direct sales is one of the few industries that truly, truly, truly pours back into the person and really helping you develop as a person. So when I say that, you guys, I say that with a lot of insight. From working in banking, from working in real estate, from working in retail, and not only mid-size and entrepreneurial companies, you guys, but feel free to explore on my bio, but I've worked for some of the top Fortune 500 companies. I've worked for ConocoPhillips. I worked for Victoria's Secret. I've worked with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, for those of you that may or may not know. So when I say this with a lot of insight. I say this with insight from roles of an analyst all the way up to an executive on the executive team as a chief audit executive. So I've got a lot of experience in as far as working with companies and how their HR departments run and or don't run, okay? So that's another thing I would urge you to consider. The other thing is the model and the compensation model and the streams of income is absolutely genius. You get up to one income stream when you start, then that can grow to 3, then that can go to 7. That's how it is with Herbalife specifically. Plus bonuses, plus vacations, and as long as you qualify, everybody can get it. Disclaimer, it takes hard work and discipline, etc., just like anything else. But it goes back to, why wouldn't you have or integrate a platform this is the way I look at it, in over 90 countries, and I have limitless possibilities, and I'm helping get the world happy and healthy. Hello? When before, what I was doing was adding to people's bottom line. So think about that. And I'm not simply saying this as an advocate for Herbalife. I'm saying this for any opportunities you don't understand. Are you automatically shutting down? Are you automatically judging them versus, investigating a little bit closer, saying, you know what, maybe this is something I could look at. Do you find yourself at the same income for over a year? Do you feel afraid with money or imagining more? Are you afraid of the unknown? That's something very real for a lot of people. I love change. I thrive on change. I love growth. But how are you with the unknown? And at the same time, you guys, I love it. But once I became a full-time entrepreneur, there was a lot of fears that I got to break through, because it was very different when I had quote unquote a stable salary and I had a side hustle versus letting go of, all the other things besides what my passion and purpose is and going all in. There was a lot of, things that I had to let go of and break barriers in my brain too. Do you consistently work in your business versus on it? So what do I mean by that? So for example, are you doing, and or are you taking time to step back and think about your strategy and your structure and your systems? Because we can get wrapped up into doing, but then you're like the ant in the molehill, building the house versus looking at the ants building the house. And it's a very different mindset, you guys, because I can tell you, I consistently, and this has come with practice and time, I work in my business, but every morning now, I take about an hour to 2 hours to quote unquote focus on my life and on my business. So I do godly gratitude. I do faithful forgiveness. I do, it's my third thing because I added a couple things now. Destined deserving, wonderful worthiness. So these are different practices and things that I do. I do incredible intentions, where I'm setting up intentions for every single thing that I do, the feeling that I want, the feeling I want to give people, and the exact results I want. And then divine downloads, so insight and wisdom that I'm getting for the community that we're creating, for the courses that we're creating, for the content that we're creating. So I'm constantly shifting. And this is coming from someone that was a chronic doer at one point in life. And then I regularly take 2 to 3 days where I don't do anything to work in the business. And I'm just reflecting on, okay, is everything moving in the direction I want in my life and in the business, or is there something I want to shift? Do you keep your business the same or do you grow it? And again, feel free to pause. Do you avoid your finances or do you regularly face them? Do you struggle with saving, giving, or are you a guru? And this is going to start to set you guys up for the 6-pack of wealth. Because in the 6-pack of wealth in the next week, you're going to get all the 6 behaviors, which saving and giving are 2 of them. And we're going to be talking about several different examples. And then investment is also one of them. So do you struggle with investment or are you a badass? So here's a quick gut check. Did you have a panic attack or anxiety or fear when you enrolled in this course? Because that's an investment in yourself. That's an investment to change the trajectory of money making in your life. And if you, even in week 1, you guys, this first week, and looking at your money mindset, I can promise you, if you revisit this one section every single month, you will shift your money massively. And let's say hypothetically, just from the things you shift in this first week, let's say in the next year, and I'm lowballing this because I know the power of applying these things and what it can do to your life. So let's say in the next year, you shift your income by $10,000, and that's very low, you guys. So that means $10,000, this course, you invested $497, that's $9,503 divided by, so I'm doing the basic return on investment formula. It's new minus old divided by old, okay? So the new income was $10,000 minus $497, so $9,503 divided by old, $497. That is, you guys, just to know your ROI, which is your return on investment from this course, and that's from week 1, hypothetical. So I want you to do this, say at the end of the year, just for your own sanity. And anytime you buy anything or you think about buying something, I want you to do an ROI. Get in the habit of doing it because then you'll start to think about your life and your business in these ways. This alone is like, even if you shifted your income by a minimum of $10,000 and or your savings and or like redirected your spending in ways that were more in alignment and investment with what you want. That's a 1,900 return on investment. That's unheard of, you guys. But that's how confident I am, and I'm lowballing that. At 10,000, you could create one course at the end of this course and make $10,000. Again, no guarantees. You're going to have to work and do it and market and promote. There's steps involved. But think about it in those terms. And if you had that anxiety or that feeling, that shows like your fears around money. Speaking of which, present to future, how do you feel about money? How do you want to feel? How do you talk about money? So you see how I'm sharing with you openly examples. I'm sharing with you openly about return on investment. Those were things years ago I was doing all the time at companies, but those were things I was not doing with myself. And that was gradual over the last 7 years. So understand this is not going to happen overnight, but it is levels of awareness, levels of shifts. How do you want to talk about money? How do you view time? Do you feel like you have more than enough? I can tell you years ago I didn't. I used to feel like there was never enough time. I would do 5, 10, 15 different things at one time, literally, and then get frustrated because I would lose my phone, drop the keys, couldn't find something that I had just had in my hand. Like I was a walking chaotic mess, you guys, like seriously. So don't sit here and look like, okay, she did that, but I could never do that. It's work, you guys. Anything is work. How do you view time? How do you want to view it? So now, like you heard me talk about the first couple of hours of my day are at the park, you guys. When I started doing that a couple months ago, I was like pinching myself. I was like, oh my God, is this my life? Then I go work out or get to work, one or the other, depending on the day, depending on where I'm at. Then I either, depending on what I did, possibly go to the gym, do something fun, connect with friends, connect with family, just having and feeling like at the end of the day, I have more than enough time. I mean, today is a perfect example. I'm filming this on a Saturday, you guys, full disclaimer. It's 10 o'clock. So, people are out, say 10 years ago, I might have been out, dancing, which don't get me wrong, I still go out and do stuff sometimes. I love to dance. I was taking a quick drink. But today I went to the park first couple hours. So I was thinking about my day this morning and I was doing my routine. And I was thinking about, okay, well, how do I want to structure my day? How do I want to design my day today? And at first I was going to go to the park, connect with my family, and then go work. But I said, you know what? Actually, I rather first go to the park, finish at the park, then go connect with my family. Then via WhatsApp, some of you may or may not know, my mom and dad live in Bulgaria now. That's actually where they immigrated from Poland and Bulgaria years ago. And they retired a couple years ago and now live there and have a home there. So I get to see them about once or twice a year. And I'm super, super grateful for WhatsApp and technology because it allows me to actually see them. And so I connected with them. And then I decided I wanted to work out first. And then I never go to the mall, you guys, on a weekend, ever, ever, ever. But I decided to make a quick run to Macy's, and I told myself I'm going for 30 minutes to an hour, no matter what, and I'm leaving. Either I find what I'm looking for or I don't, and I'm leaving. And I was actually looking for a green dress because I'm filming the intros and outros for this course tomorrow. And so I decided to do it on a Sunday because I office out of WeWork. And on Sundays, it's super quiet in here. And no one's here usually. I'm the only one or another person on the weekend. And a couple other people maybe, which surprises me because there's a lot of entrepreneurs. So anyway, at least the one in Atlanta. I don't know yet about Houston or the other ones overseas. But I decided to film, and a lot of times I film on those days because, again, it's so quiet. And it allows me to focus. It allows me to disconnect. And I like to do things when other people aren't doing them. Again, why I typically don't go to the mall on Saturday. But I wanted to get the green dress, and then plus I have several things going on this week with workshops here. And then I'm leaving on Thursday for Extravaganza, our huge Herbalife event in Houston. So I decided to go to Macy's and found several things that I loved. Was in and out within an hour. Stopped and ate at Zinburger. It was my post-workout meal after lifting and doing glutes and hamstrings today. I had my Herbalife shake after I worked out, and then I had exactly at an hour the basically a burger with onions, mushrooms, and avocado, and some sweet potato fries. And then I got home and then came into WeWork. And so worked on some stuff with influencers and some marketing projects and things that we're doing for coming up for Atlanta, Brazil, and then next year into some other retreats. Eyeballing Bali and Nicaragua, and then now filming the behind the scenes. And then tomorrow I'll do the intros and the outros. So, again, how do you want to design your day? How do you want to view it? So, just in sharing with you my day today, I look at it like I had more than enough time to do everything that I wanted to do. And do you know what ESBI quadrants are? So Kiyosaki, if you've ever read his books, Cash Flow, and his cash flow quadrants, basically what the quadrants are employee. That's what the E stands for. So if you think about it, employees typically make money per hour, right? Specialists are your accountants, are your attorneys, are your engineers, anybody that typically makes salaried, and sometimes they may still be billed per hour, but they're typically salaried. So specialist salary, employee hourly. Then you have B and I. So B is a business, and then I is an investor. So keep in mind, you guys, if you think about it, shifting from an hourly mindset and or a specialist all the way to thinking like a business owner and an investor, completely different mindset. Totally different. Hello, the business and the investor are the ones that employ the employees and the specialists. So of course you have to have a different or get to have a different mindset. So when you think about that, it makes sense that there's a lot of work and resistance to shift. How often do you spend money? How often do you review your money? You are infinite, and think about that majority are one pay period away from homelessness. Love over hate, faith over fear, abundance over scarcity, freedom over control, peace over chaos, and team or community over individual. And think about the fact that money is simply an exchange of energy. It reflects what goes on within us, culturally and globally. Now take your passion plus your purpose plus people equal profits. Now take action step by step with what came up for you and combine the above with work. Fight for your freedom in all areas of life.